Welcome, supers, to this EntrepreNEWS for Friday, October 15th. I had to look at my watch. October 15th. We have so many articles to go through, and I'm not a stock market guy. I don't expect you to come in for the stock market, but I will say I was watching Meet Kevin just a little bit ago, and the market seems to be rallying hard on those recovery stocks. So ding ding for that, because there is some news about November 8th being the day that foreigners are able to come into the States. So maybe that's playing a role in it. So I did see that. But what we're gonna talk about today, Evergrande $1.7 billion sales flop. There's also a couple of articles related to Evergrande that talking about Beijing not likely to let the developer collapse. We'll see. Again, some news is better than no news, but sometimes no news is better than some than bad news. So we'll see. Microsoft shutting down LinkedIn in China. More than 10,000 John Deere workers on strike after failed UAW deal. The FTC will crack down on fake online reviews and puts businesses on notice. This is I'm ding ding. I'm all about the real, and I am all about people getting out of the way and stop faking it till you make it. Head of Uber Freight says the U.S. is in a shipping Armageddon, and there's no one solution. I'm looking forward to reading that, as I have extensive background in the trucking industry. Virgin Galactic delays beginning of commercial space flights to the fourth quarter of 2022, and their stock took the paid the price for it. Striketober signals tremendous sacrifice, but workers say it has been a long time coming. And finally, today, I got a question: what keeps me motivated? So I'm looking forward to hopefully motivating some of you, as I try to do every day with every news article, with every Shark Tank video, with every Undercover Billionaire video, which we have an Undercover Billionaire video going live today. I think it's at noon today, so go check that out. It's episode, I believe, 7 of Undercover Billionaire Grant Cardone edition, as well as tonight we got Shark Tank season 13 episode 2. It airs at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC. I will be doing all the reaction videos. They should be up between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tonight. So I'm looking forward to those. There's already a preview video up. If you haven't gone, check that out. Go to the YouTube channels here. If you're here already, after you get done with this video or listening to this podcast, you go and check out the preview videos. Some pretty neat businesses. We'll see if they fare as better or worse than the 4 that we had in episode 1 last Friday. Let's get to, I got to share my screen here. Evergrande's $1.7 billion Hong Kong headquarters sale flops as buyer withdrawals, according to sources. Chinese state-owned this property company in China has pulled out of a proposal $1.7 billion deal to buy China Evergrande Group's Hong Kong headquarters building over worries that the developers' dire financial about the situation that they have right now, says 2 sources. The collapse of the talks for the landmark building's sale is another setback for cash-strapped Evergrande, which has been scrambling to divest some assets to repay creditors knocking on its doors. With more than $300 billion in liabilities, it has already missed 3 rounds of interest payments in the international bonds. They said based on the I'm not sharing my screen. Based on the southern city of Gunzhou, I'm not sure. I feel bad butchering these names. I know I'm butchering these names. Was close to sealing a deal in August to acquire the 26-story China Evergrande Center in Hong Kong's Wanchai, Wanchai district that serves as Evergrande's local headquarters, said the sources. The deal, however, faltered after their board opposed the move over worries that Evergrande's unresolved indebtedness would create potential complications in completing the transaction smoothly, they said. Once China's top-selling developer has in recent months sought to raise funds by offloading assets from properties to stakes in subsidiaries both in mainland China and in Hong Kong. Evergrande, which saw its 8.75% June 2025 bond fall more than 6% to 18.625 cents on Friday, did not respond requests for comment. The people declined to be identified due to confidentiality agreements. So, to go along with this, they did have a they apparently, according to, I forget which YouTuber I was watching, he was talking about how, like, just in, like, I think it was like August, Evergrande had, or June, July, Evergrande had like a quote unquote clean bill of health for all of their debts and the whole of the business. So, like, somebody's not telling the truth. That we got a game show going here of, to tell the truth. And so somebody either was not, looking in, or somebody was hiding the fact that there was issues with the company, and they're just like, or they're just glossed over the fact they didn't do their due diligence. Somebody somewhere did not do their due diligence, because just a couple months later, it's like they went from, hey, everything's cool, we're fine, no problems here, to oh wow, this is like, could be a catastrophe and have a ripple effect across the world. So very, very disappointing to hear, and that means that's 1.7 billion they're going to have to raise in another way, some other way. It's not like anyone's just going to come up with, a couple $1 billion to make a sale happen and go through. So we will we will always continue to monitor this, and we'll be back on Monday with more on this story. I have 2 more articles to run through, so make sure you check that out as well. Here, Evergrande crisis: Beijing not likely to let developer collapse even as it gets tough, analysts say. Beijing not likely to allow property giant China Evergrande Group to collapse as the government devises a way to get tough on the company without inducing sector-wide turmoil. Market analysts said at a conference on Wednesday. Evergrande, saddled with more than $300 billion in debt, has missed 3 rounds of interest payments in 3 weeks, and will default on its debt if it fails to pay the combined $119 million in interest before October 23rd. So we're coming up on that pretty quick here, in just a week away. I think somebody in the comments in one of the other videos was saying, I think they were saying it was October 23rd or 28th or something. Maybe it was October 28th. I can't get my calendar come up here. Is where the issue is really going to take hold. What the government is doing is this kind of a managed reconstruction that is trying to scale the property market away from any further debt-fueled growth by not bailing out Evergrande. Said Andrew Collier, managing director of Orient Capital Research. Do you have any questions about the biggest topics, trends? No. His remarks came during the China Institute Executive Summit, the CIES, on Wednesday. The South China Morning Post is a strategic partner of the event. They are desperate to avoid a central government bailout wants to have its face on the picture of helping out the property market. Oh, it says that, yeah, adding that he didn't think China's central bank wants to have its face on the picture of helping out the property market. Yeah. So I'd like to think that there's enough people that are smart enough to not let this just let it fall apart and let it dissolve and be like, well, that's what you get, right? That's what you get for having all of these indebted companies and capitalistic companies that are leveraging what they have and all that. And look, to a certain extent, I don't totally disagree. Having $300 billion in debt is a lot, and there's a lot, like, a lot of people around the world are counting on that to not default and to not fall apart and to not go for pennies on the dollar, but if at all. So I hope that this isn't going to be a problem. Like I keep saying in every video, let's not panic just yet, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to keep cash on hand in case things do head south. If things head south, you have the cash to take advantage of some buying situations. And I'm not going to be the one to tell you which buying situations to do. But I just think that as an overall strategy, that's what I would be looking at is how can I get some cash off to the side so that I could make some purchases if things do go sideways, and if not, well then, cash is still available to do other things with it. There's other update. China C-Bank official says spillover effect of Evergrande's debt woes is controllable. The spillover effect of China Evergrande's group's debt problems on the banking system is controllable, and individual financial institutions' risk exposures are not big, a central bank official said on Friday. Chinese authorities are using Evergrande to step up asset disposals and the resumptions of projects. Evergrande had blindly diversified and expanded its business. I don't know if it was blind. I'm sure that there, somebody was making a decision based on where to put the money. Last month, as the debt crisis intensified, the PBOC said it would safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of homeowners. In August, the central bank, as well as the banking regulator, said they had summoned executives from Evergrande and asked them to properly handle its debt risks. Those comments. Financial institutions' appetite for property firms has declined significantly in response to risks at some developers, leading to a significant drop in loans. Evergrande should step up asset disposals and speed up resumption of projects. Building and authorities will provide financing support for project resumption. He said some lenders have had misunderstandings about the central bank's debt control policies, causing financial strains for some firms as some new projects are unable to get loans even after firms have repaid existing loans. So what that says is that the bank is, the banks that they're trying to get the money from is like, yeah, cool. Like you paid on that loan, but we kind of see the landscape of where things are, and we're not really that comfortable right now. And we're going to take a more conservative approach so that we don't go down with you if things start to, go belly up. That's not a great sign. That definitely, pumping the brakes on the loans means business can't continue as usual, and it could ultimately lead to if they're not able to get the loans that they need going forward and fund those projects, and other banks, decline them as well, it kind of puts them dead in the water. If you're a development company and you can't develop because you don't get the money to do so, the profits probably aren't going to be enough to be self-sustaining for you. That's why they're going to the bank in the first place, right? So I tend to think that hopefully that's just a short term. Somebody said this is in the finally it says this short term extreme reaction is a normal market phenomenon. It is, and like I just said, that we want it to stay short term. We want it to, maybe it lasts 15 days, maybe it lasts 45 days at most, but I'd be worried if you start getting past 30 to 45 days. When we start talking about like 90 days, like that's not a short-term phenomenon. That starts to be like a real money crunch that could topple over more development companies in China and start to really affect what we got going on here in the States. Microsoft shutting down LinkedIn in China. This news kind of blew me away. And it also looks like we got our U.S. Lyft travel ban on November 8th going there. So Microsoft shutting down LinkedIn in China. Microsoft is shutting down its social media network LinkedIn in China, saying that having to comply with the Chinese state has become increasingly challenging. It comes after the career networking site faced questions for blocking the profiles of some journalists. LinkedIn will launch a jobs-only version of the site called InJobs later this year, but this will not include a social feed or the ability to share or post articles. LinkedIn senior vice president said, "We're facing a significantly more challenging operating environment and greater compliance requirements in China." And the firm said in a statement, "While we are going to sunset the localized version of LinkedIn in China later this year, we will continue to have a strong presence in China to drive our new strategy and are excited to launch the new InJobs app later this year." The article goes in. I'll link the article below, but it goes in and talk about gross appeasement and China's internet roams further adrift. So what I will say though is, when it comes to LinkedIn works really well for some people and not so well for other people. And from the people that I know that do the most in social marketing, when it comes to LinkedIn, apparently their algorithm is like way behind as a whole. So it is one of the weaker ones, social media networks, because in my opinion, is because of the way that they have not increased their algorithm to compete with the likes of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And somebody keeps telling me about Alignable. I've been getting, people like sending me, invites for Alignable for a while. I just have honestly ignored them, but it's so there is real competition, and if it is true, if LinkedIn's algorithm is that far behind, it may continue to lag for everywhere for years to come. And it wouldn't surprise me to see Microsoft, eventually maybe sell LinkedIn, because I doubt that they would just shut it down. I do find it kind of funny that they couldn't find a buyer just for their LinkedIn China to operate, to sell it to and operate it. It kind of tends to make me think that maybe it's not as profitable as they want it to be. I mean, in China they have WeChat, and that pretty much is like the dominating force for social media in China. So trying to compete with that, on top of if your algorithm is like, light years behind every other platform's algorithm setup, so that people are getting information that they want to actually see, rather than just like whoever happened to like something the most, it says a lot. It says a lot about where Microsoft is with LinkedIn, and again, kind of tends to lead me to think that maybe at some point they might go and sell it themselves. This seems like a pretty big like red flag, and it might not be tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if in a year to 2 years, maybe 3 years, we see LinkedIn get sold off from Microsoft to somebody else. More than 10,000 John Deere workers on strike after failed UAW deal. More than 10,000 are on strike on the picket line Thursday after the union was unable to hammer out a new contract deal with management of the tractor company. Workers at 14 Deere and Company locations were made good on their vow to go on strike at the stroke of midnight after the company failed to present an agreement that met our members' demands and needs. Our members at John Deere strike for the ability to earn a decent living, retire with dignity, and establish fair work rules. Speaking for somebody who has had John Deere equipment as well as we used to be a Coyote dealership. It's funny because when we were a Coyote dealership, my dad actually still had I think 2 John Deere tractors that he bought for himself, one for the shop, our main location, and one for his house. Even though we sold Coyote tractors, which has grown actually, their brand has become more powerful over the years since we stopped selling it back in 2015. Our members at John Deere strike for union workers overwhelmingly rejected a contract over this week that would have delivered 5% raises to some workers and 6% to others. Now, the UAW said workers will picket Deere around the clock until the two sides reach a contract. The union will provide will provide members $275 a week in strike pay until the standoff is over. This is the first major strike in 35 years at John Deere, which is known for its iconic green and yellow farm equipment and workers, many of whom have been toiling extra hours for months because of the pandemic-related worker shortages, and they said they are fed up. The whole nation's going to be watching us, Chris Larson said, who works as a painter at Deere. If we take a stand here for ourselves, our families, for basic human prosperity, it's going to make a difference for the whole manufacturing industry. Let's do it. Let's not be intimidated. Deere and Company said it wants to keep talking. We are determined to reach an agreement with the UAW that would put every employee in a better economic position and continue to make them the highest paid employees in the agriculture and construction industries. Brad Morris, Deere Vice President of Labor Relations, but the company admitted in May that it was struggling to find enough qualified workers to meet its production needs. This year, another group of UAW workers went on strike. The Volvo trucks plant in Virginia wound up with better pay and lower health cost health benefits after rejecting the 3 tentative contract offers. The contracts under negotiation under 14 Deere plants across the United States, including 7 in Iowa, 4 in Illinois, and 1 each in Kansas, Colorado, and Georgia. The contract talks in Illinois hit a wall even as Deere was expecting to report record profits of $5.7 billion to $5.9 billion this year. The company has been reporting strong sales of its agriculture equipment this year, as well as construction equipment. The Deere production plants are an important contributor to the economy, so local officials hope any strike will be short-lived. We definitely want to see our economy stabilize and grow after the impact of COVID-19, says Malene Mayer told blah, blah, blah. Hopefully these parties can come to a resolution soon. He sat down and asked if there was any way he could borrow some money from me to put food on the table and pay some bills. Egger said to her dad, of course. I grabbed my savings and what I had in my paycheck. My mom had to go to work, was really crushing for my dad, and he picked up any odd jobs he could come up with just to make ends meet. And that was Heidi Egger told that she was a high school senior when her dad and many of her uncles went on strike in 1986, and that strike lasted almost 6 months. So look, I don't like to see strikes either. I don't think anybody really wants to see strikes. I think that it's important that the Um, I think it's really important that the workers be compensated, especially as they've gone through a really tough year and now getting closer to 2 years, right? So the thing about John Deere is they have attacked, or they very much are not in favor of right to repair. If you haven't checked out Lewis Rossman, go check out him. He's all about. He's very he's kind of abrasive, but means well, has a good heart, and he is actively fighting across the United States for right to repair. Something that the likes of John Deere has been opposed of, because they want to control all of the parts, and soup to nuts, everything, kind of like how Apple does. But hey, to a certain extent, Apple does a good job, and they have a ways to go. And I think that they want some, they will eventually succumb to this as well when it comes to right to repair. Now, obviously, this isn't about right to repair, but what this is about is when you start talking about 10,000 workers that are going to be sidelined in a time where people, even John Deere admittedly can't find skilled workers themselves. To me, this actually seems like, I don't know when their contract ended. I guess their contract ended at the stroke of midnight. But, it seemed like they probably all knew what was coming already, because of the fact that they're on track to do $5.7 billion record profits this year on the low end and 5.9 on the high end. Look, if you think you can get away with using other workers, be my guest. But I tend to think that Deere will probably hold out till they get a deal that is more in line with what they want rather than the strikers. When you start talking about all that, those $1 billion, billions of dollars of profit, they have the money to sit on the sideline. And as the story by Heidi pointed out at the end of this article, the average person doesn't have that opportunity. They got to do whatever they can to make ends meet, because they don't have a whack ton of money sitting in the bank waiting to make it go. But with that said, if this does go on for longer, those people that are in those situations might start looking for other employment, right? They might start looking to start their own businesses. They might look to take an opportunity well, moving might be tough because of the amount of the pricing of housing, but to go and take a chance doing something else. It's a really bad time for it, especially as we have with the labor shortage, and some food shelves are starting to go empty in certain parts of the country, certain types of foods and things of that nature. The food all runs around tractors, right? So we having and construction as well. So without having those people there to be able to assemble more, it really will be a blast. Or a blast to the economy, I should say. And I would hope that somebody like the mayor of Moline, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but Moline, does something to help the two, maybe helps to facilitate, bring the two parties together to come to some kind of an agreement, right? And I hope that they get I hope they get what they're looking for. These people have been through hell this last almost 2 years now, and they absolutely deserve. They work hard and they put together great products, and regardless of John Deere's stance on right to repair, they deserve to get paid. When they could easily, how many of those 10,000 people could just easily go work for Amazon? Though you shouldn't, because Amazon, after seeing Jeff Bezos the other yesterday with William Shatner, if you watch that video, go get subscribed and watch that. But way he treated William Shatner, like it wasn't great. But they could go get those. They could go, work $25 an hour there at Amazon. They could go work for Target. They could go work for Walmart. They could, there's a deluge of opportunities out there, and especially other manufacturers. Because you think if John Deere is suffering with finding skilled workers, you don't think their competitors are? There's definitely opportunities out there, and I just hope that this doesn't last for too long, and that they're able to eventually get back to work at a deal that is beneficial to both the business and the employees, right? I want the business to do, I want businesses to do well. They need to do well, but at the same time, they need people, and they already are well aware they need quality people, and those quality people have walked out on them. So I tend to side with them. Like, if we're going to put together almost $6 billion in record profits that year, don't be scared to invest in the people. We just talked about this yesterday too on the EntrepreNEWS with Chipotle, and looking at labor, not at labor cost, not as a cost, but as an investment. And this is, I think, a clear sign of that. It's a labor investment, not necessarily labor cost. FTC will crack down on fake online reviews, put businesses on notice. Ding, ding. Thank goodness. We needed that. We need that. The FTC has put over 700 businesses on notice. The Federal Trade Commission plans to crack down on businesses' use of fake reviews and misleading information online to promote its products. The agency announced on Wednesday. The FTC announced that it has put more than 700 major corporations and smaller businesses on formal notice for the malpractice, threatening up to $43,792 per. I don't know who came up with this per violation price, but that's great. The rise of social media has blurred the line between authentic content and advertising, leading to an explosion in deceptive endorsements across the marketplace. Fake online reviews and other deceptive endorsements often tout products throughout the online world. Consequently, the FTC is now using its penalty offense authority to remind advertisers of the law and deter them from breaking it. The FTC outlined a number of practices it hopes to squelch in its letter to businesses, including falsely claiming an endorsement by a third party or misrepresenting whether an endorser is an actual current or recent user, as well as making false performance claims. Other practices included failing to disclose an endorser's connection to the company or misrepresenting a typical consumer experience. This is awesome, but I'll give you my opinion at the end here. Major companies formerly noticed include tech giants Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google, and its YouTube video service, as well as internet service providers like AT&T and Comcast. Others include retail Abercrombie & Fitch, brewer Anheuser-Busch, and manufacturers General Electric, General Motors, and Honda. Popular shopping and review sites such as eBay and Yelp were also noticed. The agency emphasized that that just because a company was noticed does not in any way suggest that it has engaged in deceptive or unfair conduct. A list of companies listed can be found on the FTC's website. Fake reviews and other forms of deceptive endorsement cheat consumers and undercut honest businesses, said Samuel Levine, director of the agency's Bureau of Consumer Protection, said in a statement, advertisers will pay a price if they engage in these deceptive practices. I love this. Ding, ding, right? So fake reviews. I mean, you get it, right? When you buy something on Amazon, like you should not get in the package like, hey, it's a business card that says, hey, leave us a 5-star review and we'll send you an extra product or something. we'll send you an extra phone case or something like that. And it's like, well, look, I know that you want to encourage people to rate and review or comment or smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm or, uh, subscribe or whatever. But it's so frustrating. I'll tell you, as a business coach, as a business consultant who prides himself on being truthful, being upfront, being real, not going in and doing the wacky things like renting a Lamborghini to show off to my subscribers or to my Instagram followers or anything like that. I mean, it's even so rampant there that like there's people will have bots that will literally just like post comments for them on every single post that they do. So that makes it look like there's a whole bunch of people that want whatever they're selling and, buying followers. Like, I wonder if that's going to, this doesn't mention buying followers coming down on that practice, buying subscribers. I know YouTube kind of came down hard a little bit ago, like 2 years ago, with where people were getting, free product from organizations and they weren't disclosing whether or not those products were, free or it was a paid endorsement or anything like that. So, that to let you know up front, like, hey, this is an ad, in one shape or way or form. One of my favorites is both Gerald Undone and Christopher Frost, and the way they get lenses and cameras from camera companies all the time, and they're like, look, we got the lens. Imagine this is a lens. We got the lens, and I got the lens, and I have not been paid for the lens. I have to send the lens back after my review. They have not reviewed what I said, and they have not given me any information of what needs to be said in the interview, and they have not reviewed the review, the lens review or whatever product review at all. And we just talked about this the other day about the auto industry, completely like muddying the waters for legitimate reviews in the automotive industry. So, I am all for this. The whole fake review thing. I mean, I've even had one of my friends had somebody paid to post a ton of negative reviews to their Google, to their Google and to their Facebook pages, right? And it took forever for them to get those off. I also tend to think that the FTC, if they wanted to really, do something about fake reviews and like, oh, okay, yeah, it does. So such as eBay and Yelp, which ding ding, Yelp is a parasite. Yelp is terrible. If you don't, if you want to know like the short of it, there's a whole documentary that you can watch on how the terrible mafia-like practices that Yelp has employed over the years. But John Taffer recently took the fight up to Yelp. He actually was part of one of their town hall meetings about how to help the restaurant industry through the pandemic, and in it, he called them a parasite. Apparently, he called them a parasite, and they didn't like what he said so much that that they didn't air or share the whole town hall because of that one piece that he said. And then so John went on social media and basically was like, I want to hear your Yelp stories. And then did a whole podcast episode where he actually called up business owners, restaurant owners, mostly restaurant owners. And I think one was like a dog care or dog grooming company or something, but called had phone calls with these people and said, hey, like, what's your Yelp story, right? This story stands above the rest of how ridiculous the practice is and how they manipulate the reviews, where it's like, oh, you stop paying us? Cool. We'll just take all your positive reviews and put them as in other reviews, so it's not calculated into your star rating. And to get to it, it's there, but you got to go all the way to the bottom of the page and go to like the other reviews or not recommended reviews or I don't know what they call it, but whatever they call it, it's a really shady practice. And where Yelp could be, really in a great position to help restaurants through this. They weren't, then haven't been, and they haven't been for very, very, very long time. Very super unreliable. I wouldn't go there, and I think the only time I've had to go there in the last several months was to book a reservation. Unfortunately, for one of the restaurants, that was how they were still using for booking reservations. So, the FTC, the sad part about all this is the FTC probably doesn't even come close to having the resources to go after all of these instances, investigate all of these instances, and do something about all of these instances. So it's kind of heartbreaking in that sense. And as a business owner who, again, I'm out here every day doing the EntrepreNEWS, doing, Biz Coach Reacts videos, helping other business owners in my mastermind, helping other business owners one-on-one, trying to be real and trying to present myself as me, as clean and as clear as I possibly can. It's heartbreaking to see other people just kind of really just faking it till they make it. And it's very disturbing to me. Head of Uber Freight says the U.S. is in a shipping Armageddon and there's no one solution. Uber Freight headline or Mr. Ron told CNBC's Jim Cramer on Thursday, there's no single solution to the country's trucking crisis. It really requires the entire industry because we are facing just unprecedented times. We're living in a shipping Armageddon, he said. There's a 2-minute video here. I'll put the link down below. Told CNBC's Jim Cramer on Thursday, there's no single solution. It requires everybody to get involved. Uber Freight, which launched in 2017, uses an app to connect shippers who need loads hauled with available truck drivers operating as a middleman and a crucial part of the U.S. economy. There's more than 1 million drivers now on Uber Freight network, according to Ron. While Ron argued Uber Freight can make aspects of long-haul trucking more efficient, he cautioned that it alone will not alleviate the industry's challenges, such as driver shortages. That's been exuberated by the COVID crisis. We can definitely make a dent with technology, and we are, but it requires more. Some of it also is about the wages, he added, noting the job can be challenging and some people want to prioritize being close to family. I'll put the link below, but I'm not gonna read the whole thing here. So, look, I've been around trucking my entire life, and what I can tell you about it is that even having 1 million drivers driving on the Uber Freight network, I mean, that doesn't mean they're driving on that network all the time. That probably just means that they're booking some of their freight through that. The really good ones, have their own office people, getting those freight connections and mapping out where they're going to go. Pick up a load, drop it off, pick up another load, go somewhere else, drop it off, and to be able to pick up another load and come back and make like that round trip, or even just a direct connection from point A to B back to A, but with a load. And technology absolutely helps. The wage thing is, somebody I was kind of following around on Instagram a little bit, checking out their Instagram. They were dangling a truck Volvo key in front of a truck, and talking about how easy the trucking industry is and stuff like that. And I had a good laugh with some of the people that work at Pardo Fleet Solutions and my dad about it. So, it's not easy. The trucking industry, look, you might be able to buy an over-the-road truck, $150,000. I mean, there's a ton of things that go wrong with trucks. The EPA standards and using DPF filters literally creates the trucks are self-destructing. Instead of putting the black soot out the smokestack like you maybe used to seeing on old trucks that don't have DPF filters, they literally allow the carbon that would be coming out to stay. Some of it gets caught up in the filter, and the filter can kind of be cleaned, and then the carbon can be disposed of properly. But a lot of that carbon ends up just in the engine, just caking in like arteries, getting closed up, and the costs that come with repairing anything on a truck that comes very rapidly if you're actually doing the miles and making the it all work, is just a punch in the gut at every turn. Like we've had truck repair in my family, we've had truck parts in my family, trucking in my family, brokerage in my family, like brokering freight, kind of like basically what Uber Freight does, and as well as some other facets of truck sales and things of that nature. So it's when we're talking about shipping and finding the right drivers, a lot of people that would be drivers have probably turned to getting a box truck and driving for Amazon as a contractor or under somebody else's flag as a contractor for Amazon. And that because they get to be home every night. They don't have to do the long hauls. They don't have to do the work that nobody wants to do. Or very few people want to do, or not as many people want to do. And when you talk about the rates on the loads, they fluctuate like wildly. Certain areas have loads coming out, so it's like, I could get this expensive load out of like the Northeast, going up to Maine or New Hampshire or something like that. But coming out of there's nothing coming out. So it's like I could take stuff up, and then when I come, coming back, there's nothing, or it's so cheap, that load coming back is so cheap that it like barely covers your costs between a driver or covering fuel costs, tolls, insurance, your DOT, like all the things, DOT number, like it's so complicated. It's so much more complicated than like, hey, let me grab my car key and go drive for Uber Eats or drive somebody around in my car with Uber. It's a very complicated thing. I'm actually really surprised that Uber has gotten involved with it, just because it's just so nuanced and wildly swings from one way to the other. So, hopefully we are able to get through the shipping crisis, as all of these crises will start to resolve themselves as the days go by. I certainly hope so. Virgin Galactic delays beginning of commercial spaceflights to fourth quarter 2022. Stocks fall 20%. Virgin Galactic is delaying the beginning of its commercial space tourism service till the fourth quarter. Space tourism company will this month begin work refurbishing and improving its spacecraft and carrier aircraft rather than fly its next spaceflight test. Virgin Galactic's enhancement process, which is expected to take 8 to 10 months, makes mid-2022 the earliest for the Unity 23 Unity 23 spaceflight may fly. That's pretty devastating. I remember when the Virgin Galactic program got started. I love the idea. I love the design of the plane and all that. But of course now it's been, I don't know, like a decade, maybe more, since Virgin Galactic got started, and we just keep delaying it. But hey, I guess if you're this close, why not? Why not make sure it's the safest? Why not make sure it's the best? Why not make sure that it will absolutely have no problems? I mean, space isn't going anywhere. It's going to still be there. So, taking a 20% dip, I'm sure they didn't like that. I'm sure Richard Branson didn't care for that. But, ultimately, what's worse? Having a problem occur, or okay, look, we need to do some things and improve some more things here. Let's get it right, so that we can make sure that there's no problems. Because the last thing we want is a problem, especially out of the get go. Yeah. So, 20% in the short term might be better than long term problems. U.S. to lift travel ban on November 8th, allowing vaccinated international visitors into the country. The White House said on Friday it would allow vaccinated international travelers into the U.S. starting November 8th, lifting a ban on visitors from the EU, UK, and other countries. The White House previously said it planned to lift the travel restrictions first set by the Trump administration early in the pandemic in early November. The measure is a relief for large airlines like Delta, United, and American, which have struggled to return to profitability with international travel curbed since winter of 2020. That's awesome to hear. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully we don't have to shut that back down. And God, I don't want it to shut down. I want this all to be, I want all this to be over as much as anybody else. And this morning, Delta, United, and American, I believe all their stocks were starting to bounce back thanks to the lift, starting November 8th. So, which is awesome. I am kind of curious as to why November 8th is still 8, it's still like, 3 weeks away or something like that in order for it to get started. I guess there needs to be some flights and things. I honestly, I didn't even know that we weren't allowing international visitors into the country. I guess because I've seen people, like I have friends that have gone to like Italy and Greece and other parts of Europe and no problem, but I guess they could come back, which probably does make it very hard for these airlines to stay profitable, as there's only so many people are going over, and then only so many people are coming back, and probably made the price kind of crazy to do so. So looking forward to that. Hopefully, the more of the travel industry will be able to get back. Like Disney will be able to welcome their Fortniters back into the country or back into the world, into the world, the Disney World, and hopefully Universal as well, with Comcast and SeaWorld and all that, as well as all the other companies that will prosper because of that, allowing people to come here. So hopefully there's actually people that want to, can afford to and want to in enough of a scale to make this happen. And hey, maybe some international business travel, can get back to going, and that'll help those hotels. So like the DC one, that DC hotels that have been devastated this year specifically because of no business travel. Striketober signals tremendous sacrifice, but workers say it has been a long time coming. A lot of these workers have been on the front line of a global pandemic for the past 19 months and were touted as heroes, which has given them lots of leverage, said one expert. Yeah, I don't know how much leverage it actually ends up being, but it only gives you enough leverage till there's people that actually want to come in and work the positions and take spots from you. From healthcare to Hollywood, nearly 100,000 workers are either striking or preparing to strike to improve working conditions. We just talked about 10,000 John Deere workers on Thursday, 24,000 healthcare workers at the Kaiser Permanente. And about 60,000 Hollywood workers, members of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, are preparing to strike. They join thousands of other workers who have recently faced a similar decision, including Kellogg plant workers who are on strike, and Nabisco employees who recently ended a week-long strike. I think what was it? Lay's? Not Lay's. Yeah, I think Lay's was on strike as well, through PepsiCo over the summer, I think it was. We've definitely seen an uptick in late September and October. It's a combination of two factors. Workers have more labor market leverage with employers needing and struggling to hire. And then a lot of these workers have been on the front line of a global pandemic for the past 19 months and were touted as heroes, which has given them lots of leverage. As the word Striketober appears online and on social media, it's clear that momentum is building around the actions. Callis said that as Tuesday's 174 strikes have been documented this year, the ILR classifies a strike as any time worker actions leads to a stoppage of work, and John Deere strike brings it to 175. Simultaneous worker activism is known as the strike wave. Workers can be contagious for, strikes can be contagious for unions and workers. There are shared issues that are pushing workers to go on strike, and workers are looking at each other and getting inspired. There have been many strike waves in the U.S. history as working conditions reached a particular threshold and workers refused to accept them any longer. These lessons have to be learned over and over and over again. COVID was a wake-up call because it wasn't just you could get injured on the job, but you going to work could literally kill you. Workers are feeling like they're working harder than ever, and they put themselves out there during COVID and risk their lives for what? On the low-wage side, these workers were essential. They faced high death rates, but couldn't afford housing or health care. Now there's this activism born of desperation. That attention enables, in some cases, empowers workers to use it as try to gain leverage in the political sphere. So, we talked about this in the John Deere striking story a little bit ago, but I don't necessarily disagree. One story I was just talking to someone I know the other day was someone in their family is a single older female working as a nurse, making more than $75,000 a year. And they got no stimulus because they were single and made more than 75,000, and have worked, as a nurse, many hours. And what do they have to show for it? They are not getting the help that they need in a time when, inflation is going up, and they're not able, people like that person is not able to keep up. So I definitely see both sides. Again, as I've said before, I want businesses to succeed, but in order for businesses to succeed, they need great people. And by allowing great people to walk out the door, over things like pay and benefits and all that, ultimately is not going to be is not good for anybody. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for the businesses. It's not good for business owners. It's not good for the workers. And it opens the door for the workers to literally just, okay, well, when we'll strike to a certain point, but I gotta feed my family, so I need to go work other jobs, or I need to start a business, or I don't want to say start a business on the table, but do what they have to do to be able to keep their situation. And as I always go back to, we don't want to get to a point where people aren't able to afford the lives that they've created for themselves, and everybody ends up out on their butt. That's not good for the country either. So there's a line there to find, and it's different in every business, in every industry, for every job, and in some cases for every employee. And we have to find those lines, and in some cases we need to find them a lot quicker than just allowing people to go out and strike and not create, not work, even in more than we already have. And that's why I think hopefully this Striketober does not last very long. 15 days, 15 days, maybe 30 days. I don't want to see it go past 45 days, tops. It's not going to be good, especially as we still need the things that these people are striking from. And if there's already a labor shortage, it's not gonna be any easier on anybody. Um, and things, the prices of things will continue to go, and hopefully, I'm hopeful that we're not on a runaway train at this point from it with inflation in mind. But I do think that it could be 6 months to 2 years before things settle down and start to maybe rein in a little bit, thanks to productivity going up and technology increases and things of that nature, and everything just kind of starts to settle. So I'm hopeful that we are not on that runaway inflation train. I'm not totally seeing it, but we gotta get past some things in here in the States as well as abroad, and hopefully we will soon. Finally today, man, this has been a long video. Finally today, I got the question of what keeps me motivated. I greatly appreciate questions. Please drop them in the comments or in your Apple Podcast reviews or in the chat when I live stream the EntrepreNEWS. It is so awesome to receive questions, and part of the whole super thing is not about me being great. It's about me helping you bring the super out of yourself, right? Inspiring other people and enabling you to bring the super out of other people. And that is what I live for. It's what I love to see. It's what I encourage other people to do, watching this channel or just in general. Like, make sure that whatever you're doing, you're enabling other people to pull the super out of them so that they can live their best life as well. And hey, that doesn't always mean having your own business. Owning a business is hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it, as my great grandfather would say. And I want you to understand that as well, that you don't have to buy into the whole hashtag hustle culture phenomenon that's kind of reined in a little bit now, but still very much sold, right? Or as the hustle porn, as they call it. I want you to I want you to think about the things that really light you up, right? What buttons can you press with yourself? And that's how I stay motivated, right? What buttons can I press on myself to help me get the reset, hit that reset switch? So things like going for a run, things like playing video games, things like hanging out with friends, and doing creative projects, like using my mind as much as possible to solve problems, working with business owners, writing books, creating art, anything that I can do that will help put me in that frame of mind to help others inspire themselves, get motivated. It helps motivate me. That's and people, right? It's all, to me, at the end of the day, it really is all about relationships and having these awesome conversations and getting to spend time with all of you, like I do every single day here on this channel and on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook at Super Joe Pardo. But I really, it's what I live for, and I've been this way almost since I was as long as I can remember. So this is what I'm here for, and it motivates me every single day to think about all of the people that I've been able to help get to where they want to go, and as much as I'm possible, humanly possible, able to help with. But it's up to you to figure out what motivates you and do some more of that. And self-care is important, and I try to do that as much as I possibly can, even with 2 kids and this business and all these other businesses I have going on, and the clients and their that I work with on their businesses, and caring deeply about the relationships that they have and the business that model that they have, and making sure that it's sustainable for everybody. So I am losing my voice. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for being here, joining me on this EntrepreNEWS for Friday. We have so many stories to go out here. It's like 10 stories. So look forward to all these videos coming out on YouTube individually. Get subscribed if you haven't. Don't forget tonight, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern, we will have all the Shark Tank pitches up, assuming I still have a voice by then. You need to go drink some tea, and also don't forget to check out the Grant Cardone Undercover Billionaire series. It's going really well. I'm excited. I'm halfway through it now. So I think there's 14 episodes total, and then episode 7 just drops today at noon Eastern. So anyway, I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will see you